Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. I'm Josafat Emiliano, and you are now watching Hey Rockstar. It is the main reason you got up today. It is what you've been waiting for since Monday because it's Thursday. You know Thursday at 5:55, but today we're doing it a little bit earlier, 5:30. But either way, it is time for the best show. If it's your first time here, welcome, welcome, welcome. Please do the thing, the like, subscribe, the share, the little hearts, because we will love you forever if you do, and we still love you if you don't. But other than that, for those of you who it's your first time here and you're like, what is Hey Rockstar all about? This is a show where my guest and myself, we bring stories that are just jam-packed with life lessons and value that you can take and use in your personal walk, on your disciplines, to give you the confidence and the help to detach from failure, take ownership of your life, and develop the right mindset to then go and become the rock star of your life, of your industry, of whatever your dream and goals are. You can do it, and we're here to help you guys out. Woo! How's that for an intro? Welcome to Hey Rockstar again. This is episode 46. And yes, I am interviewing another rock star with us today. Let's not take any more time because my guest, I know we're going to bring so much value to you all. All right, where'd I go with this guy? Because when I asked him, okay, so what industry are you a rock star in? And he just kept it simple. He's like, in the music. And he is a rock star in the music. Fantastic voice. He hits notes that are higher than Celine Dion, because I've tried to keep up with the boy. I can't. But not only that, but I've had the privilege of working on projects in English and in Spanish. I've had a chance to capture this man just dancing on stage, because I'm a media guy, and I've seen him just bring charisma, bring life, and talk about when this boy plays the ivories. Whoo, I feel like wherever he plays, you just want to have church. This young man has really, in the short time that we have gotten to know each other, I've really grown to just admire him. This rock star is a champion. This rock star is a writer. This rock star will inspire you with his story. So ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome to the show, Monty Rivera.
What an intro.
What's
my
up,
gosh.
my man?
Thank you, man. I'm honored. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome to Hey Rockstar, my brother. Whoo, Monty. Well, I also was going to tell him, and plus him and I had a chance to go to a meet and greet, the famous Arnold's here in Nashville. But that's more of our personal story. But other than that, brother, welcome to the show. Welcome to this thing. I'm so thankful you accepted my invitation. And Monty, I know your story, but for my audience who are trying to figure out who is this good-looking gentleman here. Oh, and I forgot to mention, recently engaged. Oh, congratulations on that.
Thank you very much, man.
Congratulations on that. Okay. So before we go on, if you wouldn't mind, Monty, just share with my audience a little bit about your story, your journey, and where you are at today.
Yeah. I sort of feel like when you invited me to the podcast and to the show, I was like, really, me? Like, I don't. I was a little bit.
Humble brag.
Yeah, I was a little bit like shocked. I was like, oh, really? That's cool. That's cool. I would love to do it. Nothing. My name is my legal name is Samuel Montanez Rivera. I go by Monty Rivera, and I am from a small town in Puerto Rico called Ceiba. And I'm a musician. I'm a songwriter. I am a producer. I create music. That's what I do, and that's what I love to do. And I'm also a singer, an artist. I'm currently working on developing like multiple projects. And yeah, here I am. What else can I say? What else? I don't know.
You're allowed to name drop, but we'll be humble about that because this. I was like, I didn't mention any names, but I met him working on a project for a well-known artist. But other than that, though,
right,
Monty. So as I shared with you now, what Hey Rockstar is, when we first started, when it first started, it was just I wanted to share my stories because I knew my stories had value that people could
Yeah.
use in their lives. And then I started bringing guests who, or actually, I went to one guest in during the pandemic. I went to go visit his business that was flourishing in the middle of a town that it wasn't supposed to flourish
Wow.
because it was highly dependent on the college. Well, that town depends on the
College
university
students.
students, but
Yeah.
since universities were closed, a lot of
Mm.
businesses were struggling, but his was flourishing. And I showed up, we got talking, and got to try his product, and he shared his story how just things have been happening, and like, well, hey, I'd love to have you on my show, and he was my first guest. And then that's when I realized, you know what, my story has my life has value, but I what's more powerful than me just talking about myself is
Mm.
finding the gems hidden in everyone else, because everyone is a rock star in their own right. Everyone
Yeah.
can become a rock star in their own
Yes.
right. And so, and now as the show's developed and where we're going to into next season, I was sharing with you this with you, and we're going to start with you. But the one thing that I am focused on is I know that a lot of people, the reason they don't move on is because they failed at something. They had a life
Right.
plan. And the one thing that I like to share with my audience is that they are not failures. The plan that they use failed them.
Mhm.
They're not broken. It's the system they're
Yeah.
using, probably still using, that is broken right now. So,
Yeah.
Monty, and of course, you said that you could probably share some of these things in your walk, in your
Yeah.
journey to where you're at today to become this well known. Because I mean, you said Puerto Rico, right? That's
Yeah.
oh my goodness, I forgot to turn off the AC.
It's
So
all right.
whenever you
It's all
start
right.
talking, I'm gonna
It's a
mute
little like
my
a little
mic and
nice
jump in.
back
But is has there
background noise.
been a moment? Sorry, has there been a moment in your life that that where you failed and it kind of stopped you on your tracks for a bit?
Yeah. I mean, all right. Failure. I mean, first of all, like what is failure? Like we all even successful people, however you define success, there's always going to be failure. And I think that I one of the best things that has helped me is to understand that um failure is not the end. That to not be afraid of failure, to not be afraid of rejection, of like people saying no, you're not good enough. That's better. I like when I can see you.
I just took it off so I could turn off the AC. I didn't want
Oh, gotcha,
people to
gotcha. I
get
was
up
like,
and like,
you left me.
I left Monty.
No, but I think failure. It's something that is. It's it wasn't until I was able to see my failures as another step to my success. Uh, I think that mentality and that perspective
Mm,
helped me be here where I am today. And like it's not that another thing that I want to clarify, I am not like I have had success in my life, but I'm also not in a place where I can like be like, I made it. This is where I am, and this is what my handbook of like making it looks like. This, especially this year and the past few years, has been really rough in my career, and right now I'm starting to like after like a dip and everything that I was doing and everything stopping in the top of 2020 because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now I'm starting to recoup from that. So it's not that I'm talking from a place where I'm like I've made it and I'm like where I want to be. No, but I think is like I've had success. Thankfully, I've been like, thank God, I've been really honored and privileged to be surrounded by a lot of people that have believed in me and also persisting in pushing
yeah.
in my career and where I'm doing. But you know, it's always an up and down. But to tell you more of a little bit of my story that we talked, that you asked me, like, what was that moment where you felt like, failure, that you had a lot of hopelessness and that sort of stuff. And I'm 28 years old. That was probably for me when I was around 22, like from the
Okay.
years that I was like 21 to 23 years old was, that era. So a couple of
Okay.
years where I had just left the island. I moved to Maryland because my mother worked there and lived there, and I moved to Maryland, and I wasn't doing. I was studying music in Puerto Rico, but I moved and I left pretty much everything. I left my life in Puerto Rico, everything that I was doing, all my belongings, most of my belongings. I just brought like
Wow.
two suitcases with me. It's basically what I brought with me. No instruments, no nothing. And I had to start from scratch. I remember being in a in an empty two two bedroom, one bathroom apartment in Bowie, Maryland, where we were sleeping in sleeping bags because we didn't have any beds, and we didn't have any furniture. We didn't have a TV. I just had like, I didn't even have a computer. It was like crazy. So I come from like really not having anything. And it was really hard because I was coming from Puerto Rico. My first language is Spanish. English, I had to really work on like getting better in English over the years, because I could speak English, but I had like a very thick accent and like a lot of things I wasn't able,
Yeah.
a lot of times it was hard to understand me, especially where I was in Maryland. And but little by little, I started working a job in a hotel, and it was a pretty cool job as a front desk agent, and like I was working overnight and stuff like that. And then I started working on another job because it wasn't enough, for me.
Yeah.
And I was trying to help my mother, and my sisters also were in high school, so it was like really tough. So um got a second job at very famous fast food restaurant. I'm gonna say a Chick-fil-A. I worked at Chick-fil-A.
Me
Okay,
too.
my
In
pleasure.
college. My pleasure.
My pleasure.
Back in
And
college, I helped open a Chick-fil-A in Texas, and here's a funny. I joke around about this, but like they made me the head kitchen person, and I think
right,
the only reason I was the head chicken person is or the kitchen person, the head kitchen,
because you could speak
because
Spanish and
yes, I
talk
could
to
speak to the cooks and also to the managers.
yeah, me too. I mean, I wasn't like head of anything, but like I got along with the kitchen staff, so like it was like my family because they were from like Mexico, El
Mm,
Salvador, and so I was friends with all of the kitchen people. But yeah, I worked at Chick-fil-A, and then in that hotel, and then a couple of months into working in that hotel, I got fired
wow.
from that
Okay.
hotel for a reason that I didn't think was, I don't know. I think that for some reason there was another person, I don't know why, but there's another person that didn't get along with me. And he was like, I think it was like some kind of supervisor or whatever. And but anyways, that was a very big like punch in my
Yeah,
gut because
I can
I'm very
imagine.
prideful in what I do and everything I do. And like for me to get fired for a reason, and I try to like be like, what did I do, what happened, like how can I do better, like it was really hurtful. And but you know what, like it hit me really hard, and especially in my you know my mental health, and like,
Oh,
well,
okay.
I felt like I wasn't good enough because I'm coming into this this country and trying to be better. And I wasn't doing any music and wasn't doing anything, so I felt like I that was one of the moments where I felt like a failure.
Mm,
And when I was there, I fell into a very deep state of depression. um and it was kind of like subtle, like it kind of like started like little by little, but then it started getting like bigger until like I realized like I'm not okay. And also
yeah.
I wasn't in a place that I could like get help. Like I couldn't go to therapy, like couldn't afford it. I
Mm.
couldn't, get the help that I needed, and I spent, that's a very dark time, like time in my life, because I spent months and months, almost a year, that I barely remember, and it wasn't that long ago, but I barely remember because I was such a deep state of like depression. I feel like a zombie, like I felt like a
Wow.
zombie for that time. And I kept working at Chick-fil-A. I didn't have a car, so I had to walk to work, and
Wow.
I had to walk to work in like the winter, and like it was snow all the time, and
Uphill
like
both ways.
in
Just kidding.
Maryland. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I had to like, I had to show up, and even when I didn't want to, and I was like battling this depression, and I was like, what am I gonna? Saw myself, and I was like, what am I gonna do? Then after, my mother decided to move apartments into another city called Annapolis, and so we moved, and I got another job at this retail, uh, clothing retail
Cool.
company, and I made more friends. I'm telling you, it was a year that I didn't go out. I didn't have friends. It was like crazy,
Wow.
So it's to tell you as to how big that depression was. I
Are
didn't
you
go out.
normally extroverted or
I
introverted person?
normal like in school, I was the clown, the
Okay.
school clown. I was like the hanging out with everybody. I knew everybody, like everybody. Hey, what's up? How you doing? I was that guy, and for a year, I was like really, that depression and that state just kind of like it was all in like, I feel like my own bubble and like isolated, and it wasn't pretty, And
Yeah.
then I moved like 20 minutes away from where I was living, and I started working in this retail spot, and I remember I hit a like you know just rock bottom, like where I was like, what am I doing? I've spent like a year and some change, like feeling sorry for myself, like I
I
felt
totally
sorry
understand where
for
you're
my
at.
life,
Yes.
and feeling like, oh, it's because of like my past, and like I grew resentment to my parents, like
Hmm.
why weren't you able to like give me a better like life, and like I was in my early 20s, so I wasn't, I was also ignorant in a lot of ways. And but it wasn't until like I was like, I don't remember what I was doing. I was I think I sometimes I used to go to work and um and come back home, and I'm like, what have I done with my day? Like, and I would go and I started looking for opportunity. I started looking first of all for something, because I felt like something was missing in my life. Like
Yeah.
I was just going home and like watching Netflix or whatever, and try to like ease my pain, and but I started like, I don't remember where it was that I looked a video that was very confrontational to my life, and it was something like, whatever you consume, is how you are going to live your life. You need to stop consuming all of these things, all of these TV shows or whatever that are going to just not be positive to your life. And if you're in a state of like depression or whatever, I think like what you consume is very important. Like,
Yes. Yes.
so I remember this guy that I found on YouTube. His name was E.T. His name is E.T. the hip hop preacher. Have you heard of that guy?
I'm trying to think of that. Was
He's
he
a
also like
motivational
was
speaker.
he like in sports and he lost an arm or something like that?
Yes. No,
Yes.
he
That
didn't. He didn't lost an arm, but he's the guy. He's a guy that a lot of big companies and like big sports teams, like they hire him to be like, give conferences, motivational
yeah.
speeches, and like
His name sounds
to be
familiar, and I mean
eating the
I
hip
watch a lot
hop
of these
preacher.
speakers
Bro, look,
too.
look, look. He was very popular back then. I don't know if right now, I haven't heard of him for years, but I started listening to this guy because he had this, like this, his story was so strong, and it's much worse than my story. So So and I've heard the passion, and this guy is like multi-millionaire, and like he's built companies, and he was educated. He was a school dropout that like has like 2 or 3 PhDs. He
Yeah.
finished high school. It's like overcoming guy. And I wasn't surrounded by a lot of that, but a lot of like you know people that were that inspire me and motivated me.
Yeah.
I was surrounded by people that were like in the same in the same similar state than I, like zombie, just working whatever. I knew that my life wasn't meant to be that.
Yes. Yes.
So that's the first thing, identifying like this is not what I want. Like this is something I want to change where I am right now. This is not what I want, and it's okay. There's a gratefulness of like that thank you God that I'm able to have food, I'm able to do all of these things. But there's also a point that you need to acknowledge and recognize, this is not what I deserve, this is not what I want for my life.
Mm.
So I started listening to this guy, to like the hip hop preacher, whatever I could find on YouTube of this guy. And then I would you know just go on YouTube and find video. On my way to work, and on my way to like everything that I was doing, I started listening to people giving testimonies, like motivational speakers, like preachers. Like I started listening to a lot of preachers back then, and just kind of like filling myself up with that positivity. And then one of the I I kind of like gained consciousness, and I feel like listening to these people and like their steps to success, like their steps
Yeah.
of like what is getting on your way of your success. And in my case was like finances, and I had student loans and things that I had to pay. So I was like working a minimum, like a minimum wage job, trying to pay my student loans. It wasn't working,
Yeah.
and I was kind of like I didn't own a car, like it was pretty rough. Like it was in like this cycle that I couldn't get out of. So I was like, all right, first of all, I need to get myself financially stable. I wasn't, my family, and we come from a mid class, like lower mid class. Like
Gotcha.
we thankfully we never lacked food in our table. But that was about it. Like we have basic necessities, but like, so it's kind of like been this cycle of like probably generational, that has been in our family. And I realized like, okay, I need to get financially free. So what I did, I was young, I was single, I looked in my skill set, and I was very real with myself. I was like, what am I good at? Like, not like, what am I really good at? Because we all have things that we're really good at. And
Yes,
I
that's
feel like
true.
that is something that I don't know, maybe it would take time for you to figure out. But since I was very privileged that since I was a little kid, so I was like 8 years old, I played at church and like music,
Mm.
and I sang, so I knew that I had that. I knew I was good, and or at least good enough. So what I did is I realized like, well, if I can find a job that can pay me, um doing what I do, that can pay me, and I don't have to do any expense, I don't have to pay anything, I don't have to pay rent or whatever, you know what I mean? Like I
Oh,
thought
okay.
of like, how can I like not like spend money, but make money and like pay my debts, and then start over again. So I started looking like a way online. I was like, how can I do this? Is it possible? And after hours and hours, I was to come to work from after closing at like 11 p.m. or like midnight or whatever. And I was
Yeah.
to like spend hours in my computer after that, just
Wow.
looking for opportunities. Like, hey, I sing. I did some theater, like some musical theater when I was in high school. Uh, what is there? So I started discovering all of these things that I didn't know existed, like cruise line jobs.
Please tell me you did that.
No, I didn't.
I
I did
almost jumped on one of those.
I did something much cooler than a
Oh,
cruise job.
okay, I'm still listening.
Cruise jobs, and then like theme parks abroad, like Disney and Universal, and like in China and Japan and stuff like that. And like also like I started discovering like I don't know jobs in New York, like doing plays, like doing musicals and off Broadway and stuff like that. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna start applying, and I started like doing videos of myself singing and sending
Really?
sending to people. Yeah, bro.
What was the quality version? Just put a camera on, like, vámonos?
I think it was something like, it was my cell phone or something like that, and I was just recording myself. I had like a little interface, audio interface, because I worked and I like bought myself a computer. I bought myself like an audio interface, a little mic, so I could. The audio quality was
at least the audio
good.
quality had it.
Yeah.
And that's one hack that is, the video can be whatever as long as the audio's good. People pay attention.
Also, it was like 2015, 16, so like. Quality has improved so much in like regular devices, like now.
Yeah.
Man,
I did a photo shoot with someone's iPhone 12, and they just took great pictures with their iPhone 12.
Yeah.
But they're a photographer, like, wow, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry.
Man.
All right, go back. I want to hear your story.
And man, I started like looking. There was all of these websites. One called like Backstage. I started applying. I didn't know how to do this. So, you have, for people that know, you have to have headshots and like, I didn't know. I like just took pictures with my phone. So, I was blessed. One of the blessings, what do I have? Like asking yourself that question, what do I have that I can use to my advantage? And then one of the things that I had that I was very privileged to have, shout out to my dad, is that my dad worked with American Airlines, and I was under 25 years old, so I could have his benefits. So I was able to fly, standby, for free. Sometimes like I used to spend 2 days in the airport trying to get a flight out, but like I was grinding, bro. I was like in the grind. So I would get auditions in like Miami, Orlando, New York, Chicago, and I was like, all right, if there's an open call for anything, I will go. And I auditioned. So my plan was like to do an audition. I was like, I develop a plan. What do I have? And I develop a plan. Like my plan was to try like at least to do an audition a month. So I could work, save some money, take some time off, go do an open call audition, whatever it was, and then coming back home, and keep on doing my stuff if anything didn't work out. So I did that. I went to New York. I went to Orlando, Florida to audition for like Hong Kong Disney, and I did all of these auditions, and nothing was working, man. I used to come back so depressed because like people didn't know how much I traveled to get up to audition and how much times. Sometimes I spend like 2 days in the airport try to get a flight out. I used to travel way before I didn't have money to stay on hotels. So I slept on airports. I slept on airports. Dude, it was so crazy. I remember one time that I got this audition for Disney Tokyo, Disney Hong Kong, right? And I went to, and it was for a Latino singer, right? It was like that thing, like the Latino singer stuff, where you sing stuff in Spanish. Yeah. I went to that audition and I started singing the piece that they gave me to sing. And within 10 seconds, they were like, "Stop. I'm sorry. We have to keep on going. Thank you."
Wow.
And like rejection, like right there. I was so depressed, dude, because like I flew all the way to Maryland to Orlando. I slept like it was like really tough because I was like, I just flew all this way for just like a no in 10 seconds, man. And I used to go back home like wrecked, like really sad, you know.
Yeah.
And then I would just like work and get over it, and go again, you know, like, all right, go again, like this is what it is. It's like that kind of thing where you know, and like I used to keep on listening to this motivational speeches and this like videos. It's like, you know, uh Thomas Edison like tried 1,000 times to have the light bulb, and like in that 1,001, you know, it works. So keep on going. You know, I used to like feed myself with good stuff, and then go back at it again. And then I realized in a lot of that journey how how you need to really pay attention to people. And a lot of times, a lot of this audition, I you know, I started asking people around. I asked a friend of mine that was like really, he was in like, I think California or New York at the time, like working as a singer, like doing musical theater. I was like, dude, I don't understand why I'm a good singer. I might be I'm not a dancer, because you had to have some dance, but
All right, to
I'm a
be fair,
singer.
you jump really good.
Yeah.
On stage, you're not jumping.
That's
You
like
got that energy. But go on.
yeah, but like you know, I was like, I don't understand. And then my friend told me, I think you might be auditioning for the wrong roles. And I'm like, how can I be auditioning for the wrong roles? Because I'm auditioning for Latino, like, you know, Latino roles. And then I realized, he's like, dude, I know you're auditioning for Latino roles, but to white people, you don't look Latino.
Mm.
And that kind of like sparked. And he's like, and you sing like, bro, you sing Stevie Wonder and like R&B music, and like you can sing like a black dude. Audition for African American roles, you know. And that
Wow.
kind of like changed everything for me, bro. Like that's changed I was like, you know, like it was an advice. And at first it kind of like offended me a little,
Right.
you know.
Yes.
But sometimes you need to get over yourself, you know, and be like, you know what, I want to, it might be true, I'm gonna try it, you know, I'm gonna try it, because like it is true. It's if you want to be in entertainment, you know, it's one of those things is like, well, you need to do what you have to do, what you got to do. And if it means me auditioning like African American like roles, then so be it. So I started doing that, and I started being a little bit more successful, you know. People at least heard me sing and were like, well, you know, and it was better, right? And then there was this audition, and this is where it gets um this is a story that I don't share with a lot of people, but it's very important for people to understand what it takes. I, I found this audition online. It was like 2 in the morning, and I saw it, and it was Universal Studios Japan was doing an open call in Orlando, Florida. I had family in Orlando, so it's easier for me to like navigate around.
Gotcha.
And you know, I set myself for, you know, to go to this audition. You had to send an audition tape first and be like, all right, you're pre-qualified to go to the open call. So I sent it. They were like, great, see you in Orlando. And the week comes of like auditioning for Orlando, and my account was in negative $50, you know, my bank account. And I was devastated, man, because I really wanted to do that auditions, because I was pretty confident. Because I'm gonna tell you, I did like 10. That audition would have been my 11th or 12th audition that I had done that year, you know.
In that year, okay.
Yeah, so it was a lot of auditions.
So pretty true to your first promise or your first plan, at least one audition a month.
Right.
That's good.
Right. So I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it because my dad could have. Yeah, I could have got a standby ticket, but how was I gonna go? Like, how was I gonna eat? How was I gonna, like, if I needed an Uber all of a sudden, or, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I couldn't go. I was devastated, and I was crying. I was that devastated because, you know, I wanted to, you know, keep up my goal, and I prayed to God. I was like, God, I don't know. I'm trying to get out of this situation. You know, I'm trying to keep on going and be the person that I know I can be, that I know that you want me to be, you know. Help me, please. I made that prayer with all of my heart, man. And that the audition came, the audition day came, and I couldn't go. A couple of days after, I get a check, like this random check for this from this random gig that I did in like I didn't remember. It was like months after. It was like $450. So it means that well, negative $50. I had $100. So
It's something.
it's something.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, but the audition they passed. I emailed this. This is if things are looking bad for you, even if your gut is telling you like to give up, or like even if you're thinking like I'm gonna give up, don't give up. Like if you need to send that email, that one email, send it. Like be relentless, be persistent. I sent the casting director an email. I was like, hey, I missed the audition in Orlando. I had an emergency. I didn't want to say what it was.
I had no money emergency.
Yeah, I couldn't go. Is there any other auditions, in America? Like, I was like, is there any auditions? Because I'll be there. He was like, yeah, we have one more. The last audition is going to be in Chicago. And it's going to be, I think it was going to be like something like Friday. It's going to be this Friday. And it was like Monday. So I was like, this is it. This is my opportunity. It's my opportunity to do it. So, bro, I was so excited. I was like, this is it. That means I called my dad. I was like, Dad, I need a plane ticket for Chicago. And he was like, all right, I find you one. Yeah, all right, great. It was going to be for like Monday. And I was like, I'll just stay in the airport for like Wednesday. So I was like, I was going to stay in O'Hare Airport and then just train to the audition. So I was like, perfect. It's amazing. Then, I lived in Annapolis. I lived in Annapolis, Maryland, and I had to go to DC, so it was like 40 minutes or, and then there wasn't a train. So there was a bus there's a bus that goes from Annapolis to this, shout out to, if anyone is watching from Maryland, there's this station called New Carlton Station. It was like nearest station to like my area to go to DC, to go to like Ronald Reagan Airport. So I planned it out, and I saw online the bus stop, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna make it. I'm just gonna walk there from my apartment. It's like a 15-minute walk there, take the bus, go to New Carlton Station, go, I think, switch one or two trains, and then make it to the airport. I was like, okay, I'll have time. So first thing that happened that day was that I had already bought my ticket for the bus. The bus, the information for the bus stop was wrong on the website. So I saw the bus drive past me, and there was not gonna be any more buses until the afternoon. It was like in the morning. And so I was like, okay, fine. And I called. I had two bank accounts. I had two debit cards, and I was like, all right, I guess I'm gonna Uber. I'm gonna Uber to New Carlton Station, which was gonna be probably like some like $25, $30. My Uber account wasn't taking my card that had the actual money. My other card had no money. Had no money on it. So I couldn't figure it out. I called Uber. I called, like, there's this company that charged me like $25 because I was applying for another audition that I ended up canceling. They didn't want to reimburse it. So it wasn't working out, man. I was so angry, and I started crying. I fell on the floor and cried. That was how devastated I was. Yeah. I was like, this cannot be happening. And I started walking back home, man. I felt like I was defeated. And I told myself, I was like, you know what? I'm not
That's all right.
giving up today. Sorry. I didn't mean to. But that was my attitude. I was
I'm
like,
not monetized or whatever. We're good.
I'm not effing giving up.
I'm not frijoles.
I'm not frijoles giving up. So I had this like drive on me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna order that Uber with that card that doesn't have money. I don't care if my account goes to negative. It went through. So I was like, great. So I took the Uber, went to the Carson station, and then get to the airport. And then it's great. I got to the airport. Great. And I don't know people that remember this event, this day. When I got to the airport, Ronald Reagan Airport, there was chaos that day.
Of course.
Chaos that day. And I was like, what is going on? And people like yelling at front desk agents, and like yelling. I was like, what the heck is going on? I see the TVs that they have in the airport, and it was CNN. And the headline of CNN was like, American Airlines systems crash nationwide. That was the headline of like CNN that day. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like,
frijoles.
And then as soon, it was like a movie, bro. My dad calls me and he's like, Sam, and he calls me Sam. Samuel, this is not looking good for you. There's a bunch of like flights that have canceled because he worked at like at logistics with like planes, like putting bags on planes and like towing planes, around,
Yeah.
It's like there have been like 3, 4 flights that have been canceled because of this system. Like the whole nationwide, the computers just decided to stop working, and they couldn't see radars and stuff like that. It was very dangerous.
Yeah.
Oh, and then like American Airlines, like the government thought it was like a cyber attack or something, so it was like chaos. So my dad was like, it looks like that flight is not leaving. I'm gonna try to get you on a few more flights, but like it's not looking good. It's not looking good.
Wow.
All of a sudden I stay there. I'm like, I'm gonna stay, even if I have to stay till tomorrow, but I want to be able to make it, and then it was Thursday. And because I remember it was the audition was the day after. It was Thursday, and then my dad calls me. I got you through on a flight to O'Hare, but it's through JFK, so you have to go to New York to a flight to New York, and then go from New York to O'Hare. So I was like, great. When is it boarding? Right now. You need to run and board right now. It's like, I have to run to the airport. Got on it. Got on the flight. Board the flight. When we're going to the tarmac, there was traffic of airplanes that had been delayed because of the of this thing. So it was like I had to wait an hour and a half on the tarmac. I had a connection, and the connection it wasn't looking good. It was looking like I wasn't gonna make that connection.
Yeah.
But I was like, all right, Lord, here we go. So after waiting for like an hour and a half or 2 hours, I think it was like 2 hours that we were stuck. I remember the next flight. I remember I got in that flight, and the next flight, it was at 5:55. I remember it was at 5:55.
5:55.
Oh no, it was 6:55, and it was gonna be the last flight of the day from JFK to O'Hare. I wasn't gonna be able to get another flight, out of O'Hare. I would have to wait till the next day, and then the next day is the audition. I'm done. So I was praying, man. I was praying, and the flight landed at like 6:50 or something. Like it was like within 5 minutes, and like you have to board out of like the plane and stuff, and in my mind I was just like, I'm not gonna make that connection. And it was like JFK. If you know JFK, it's like I would have to go
once, and it was under construction, so I'm sure it changed
since
last I've been there.
So I would have had to like go almost across JFK
Yeah.
to go to that other gate. So um I decided, I was like, I've gotten this far. I have to make, I have to make the effort. Even if they
Yes, you gotta
close
do
the
it.
door
Try.
in my face, I have to try. I cannot give up. Dude, I'm not making this up. As soon as the flight, the symbol of the thing, I stood up and ran to the front. I got to the front somehow
Yes.
with my backpack, because I had just a backpack. Dude, I started, as soon as they opened the doors, I started running in JFK, like Forrest Gump, like across JFK, to the point that I couldn't even breathe. Like, I'm not a runner. I was like, I was like really, really running, man. And they were, I running. I was like, wait for me, like on the gate, and they were closing the door. And I was just like, my name is like, wow. I told her my name, and then like they were like, okay, all right, get in, because like we were about to close the door. And I got in the flight to Chicago, dude. I made it. But then I was in the tarmac for another hour, hour and a half, just ready to go. Well, that's that's part of it. But I made it. I was like, I'm gonna make it to an audition. Then I get to O'Hare. I was like, all right, I'm gonna spend a night in O'Hare. I decided for some reason to, Facebook, it was pretty new back then that you could put your location where you were at, and you're like, I was like, I'm here in O'Hare Airport, whatever, audition tomorrow. And then this girl that I knew from like high school in church or something like that, she messaged me on Facebook, and she was like, what are you doing in Chicago? And I was like, oh, I have an audition tomorrow, whatever. And she was like, where are you staying? I would love to see you. I haven't seen you in years. And I was like, I'm staying at O'Hare in the airport, because I don't have a place to stay, and and she was like, bro, that's nonsense. I have an apartment here in Chicago. You can take the train. You can crash on my couch. I have a sofa couch. You can crash on my place. And I was like, are you serious? And she's like, yeah, come on, man. Like, like, don't worry about it. And I was like, this is insane. And I was like, okay, like, what trains do I need to get? It was my first time in Chicago, I think. I had never been to Chicago ever in my life. And man, I went. She was like, meet me outside of my school, because she was making she was doing a doctorate or
nice.
PhD on something. She's very smart, and she met me outside of her library or something, and she was like, oh, are you hungry? You want to go eat? And I didn't have much money. I was like, yeah, like, yeah, sure. Like, it's like, I want to eat Thai food. Like, for some reason, you like Thai food? I was like, yeah, like, cool. So I was like, a little hesitant, because like I'm like, I didn't have no money. And she was like, without me saying anything, she was like, don't worry, man, it's my treat. It's your first time in Chicago. Like, God provided another meal for me. So I stayed in her house. I didn't have my headshots printed, and so I had to go print out my headshots, go do the audition. That audition, sorry, this story's so
No,
long.
that's cool.
Like,
no, I mean, this is gold. You've been giving some. There's some. We'll probably end it after this, but this story alone was worth this interview, my man.
This story,
and I'm glad you're sharing it with us tonight.
Yeah, this is the story of me finding success. Like, this is, I mean, finding my first life that I felt like I had success. And so I print my headshots. They weren't that like good looking. Printed my headshots, printed up my resume, everything. Went to this audition, and sang. And then I realized that I didn't have the material. They didn't send me the music, so I didn't know what I was gonna sing. So they sent it to me the same day, the same morning. I was like, I need to learn this, and I'm not good remembering lyrics. So I was like, all right, I'll do the best I can. And then like I I got to the audition so like, I need to make it out here, like with all of these things, and I started singing. I forgot the lyrics. I like stopped and I was like, "Oh, thank you very much," and that will be all for us right now, and I appreciate it. So I felt defeated. So in auditions they give you this number, this
Yeah.
like sticker, to like audition.
Do you wait? Do you remember the number they assigned you for that?
I don't remember the
Okay.
number. I don't remember the number that it was, but I know it was like 40 people there, and a lot of people were like, "Yeah, I did In the Heights, here," and like, "Oh,
Good for you.
yeah," and I'm like, "Oh, I danced in such and such production. Oh, I did Lion King here in Chicago." Like a lot of people like, very well prepared.
Theater.
And then I remember there were like two people sitting next to me that were super quiet. This tall guy, his name is Daniel, and the other one's name is Becca. So I became friends with them, and I was like, "So, what are you doing?" I was like, I don't have no idea what I'm doing in here. Just, like I don't have experience in like, like that, like this professional guy saying, it's like, we don't have experience either. We're just here for the journey, bro.
Yeah.
So I remember when I came out of the audition, I took my number out because I was just like, I messed it up, and they were like, no, come on, wait for them to tell you, like, if just wait. And then this blonde guy came out of the audition room, and he was just like, are you Samuel Montanez? And I was just like, yeah. It was like, we made such a mistake. Like we realized that we sent you the material like super late, and everybody has had the material for like a week. It was like, we would like for you to come back and audition and like sing with the lyrics with like the sheet music, and I was like, all right. So I sang it. I sang it with all my heart.
Yeah, you did.
I had tears in my eyes singing the song. I remember it was like the story of my life. It was like a One Direction song, the story of my life. And I was singing the song, and I was like, the story of my life. Oh, na, na, na. And I started tearing up because I was just like thinking about this journey, this crazy journey that I've been in. Right. And then like they asked me to sing another song that I wanted, and so I sang another song, and I sang it with such passion that I saw the jury, like I saw the panel tearing up. I saw one of the guys tearing up, and yeah, and then out of all those 40 people, oh, the other thing is like there was another dance audition, and I was like, I tried to do my best in the dancing, but it wasn't my best suit, and all these people were wearing like dance equipment, like this like dance shoes and like all of it. I didn't have nothing. I had like sneakers and a sweatshirt. That's all, and I mean a t-shirt too, but and I was like, this is where I'm bye, and I remember my audition partner, her name was Taylor, and she was like, don't worry, you got this, you're gonna nail it, this girl, really positive vibe, and with this thick Chicago accent, and I was like, all right, this Italian girl, like, is like, you can do it, you got it. And then we waited, and then people became like less and less, they have stages, and then you'll see, it was from 40 people to like 25, and then blah blah, and at the end of the day there were 4 people. After all of that, of those 40 people, it was 4 people, and it was me, those 2 quiet guy and girl, Daniel and Becca, and Taylor, the dancer that like was encouraging me. We were the 4 left. Isn't that crazy?
That
dude?
is amazing. That's
people
awesome.
that we interacted, and we were like the most quiet, not bragging about, like we didn't know what we were doing. It was like, and we got selected. We got to the end, and bro, and then the audition was in like September. Then I had to wait like 2 or 3 months to see if I got the job or not, because I passed the audition, and then in December 2015, I see this call coming to my cell phone from Japan, And I answered the phone and I said,
Konnichiwa. No, just kidding.
yes, I'll take the job.
Shut up. No, you did.
I
Did you?
did. I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. I'm not lying.
That's
And then,
awesome.
and then I remember it was the casting director that like I had emailed that had auditioned me. He was like, I haven't even given you the offer yet. I'm like, I don't care about the money, like I just get me out of here. And then I went to Japan.
Wow.
And without knowing anybody but my casting director and like the few people that have passed the audition with me, I said yes. Moved like 3 weeks after I was on a plane on my way to Japan for a whole like 14 months of a contract. I had all expenses paid for, which is what I wanted. I had a good salary. I had per diem every day, daily, like $45 of like I could like spend in food every day, and I took the opportunity, and it was so much growth, and like I performed. It stretched me because I didn't know how to dance a lot, and that was the beginning part of like my success story, and like doing something that wasn't comfortable, getting myself out there, like developing thick skin, and like just going at it until something happens. And it happened, and like I spent 2 years in Japan, and then after I left Japan, I was debt free in Japan because I paid all my debts, because I developed a plan. Even there, I was like, I was making all this money. I was like, okay, I'm gonna, pay my debts. And I'm back to America without debts. Then I got into some other debts because that's life.
That's America.
That's America. But I came back and I started my journey as a touring musician, and then like from that to a singer, to a songwriter, to writing songs, and here I am.
Oh no. I mean, I definitely need to bring you back to the show because you got so much. But this story, I'm so glad you shared it, because a lot of the things that I try to show or help my audience and let them know is it's the journey that actually 2 guests ago or 2 weeks ago, the guest that I had mentioned that he believes that everything we've done, everything you've been a part of, good or bad, has prepared you for where you need to be today.
Yeah.
And it makes you the qualified person. But imagine that, Monty. I love the fact that you had this journey of impossibility and just had a little taste of victory after a little taste of victory, a little taste of victory. Like my card went through. Okay, I'm late, but I ran my ass off to get to this, and they're about to close the door, but they let me go in, and then I just by me trying this one thing out, someone who I made connection with, like, hey, I have a place to stay. Little victories, little victories, little victories. They start giving you that confidence, and they start giving you that motivation to keep going forward, and eventually you were able to perform. But as you're performing, then you could bring the true selves, you can bring the emotion, and that's what captured them. Like, this guy has pain. This guy has story. This guy has sustenance. You're not an empty vessel. You have experience, and people. That's why they look to you. That's why they're drawn to you, because like you've gone through stuff. Same as me. I've had my stories, and people come like, dude, you have like an old soul. Like, no, it's just I've lived heavy losses. I've gone through defeat after defeat after defeat, and those times like yourself where I was depressed because I'm like, God, I just need some taste of victory to give me something. And like even waking up in the morning and that attitude of gratitude, like I'm alive again, then that must mean God's not done with me yet, or I gotta do something.
And man, it's been so good because all of those failures have made me who I am. I was sharing the other day, I just recently got the opportunity to sign a very good deal, like as a songwriter, which is a great success for me. It was a great goal, and I'm able to do it. But I was thinking to myself, I was like, without all of those struggles, I wouldn't be a good songwriter, because what am I gonna write about? What problems am I gonna write about? Like I consider myself a pretty good writer because I've had pretty heavy, pretty like difficult life experiences, and encourage like embracing those hard times, embracing your times of failure, because like my friend, I'm gonna give her a shout out. I always say this. I have a good friend. her name is Jessie Early. She's such an amazing songwriter here in Nashville, and she was just
Jesse, I want
telling
you
me,
on my show. If
Jesse,
you're watching this, I want you on my show. All
I'll
right, go.
connect you with her. She's awesome. But she told me that those are seasons of song harvesting,
Mm.
and I thought it was so beautiful. And whatever it is that you do, it's like those difficult times are harvest time, for the next season, and like it's an honor. And every day, I in music is not it's not stable. It's not like it's I've been
Amen.
financially unstable for the past 4 years. um but but sometimes, and sometimes I get like I jaded and like, oh, the music industry and stuff. But I I read a couple of months ago, instead of saying, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that, and it's like I get to do this.
Get to,
I
yes.
get to like play music and make money. People pay me to go to places and play music. People pay me to go to rooms and write songs. People pay me stuff that I would have been doing anyways.
Yeah.
Like people pay me to do that. I get to do this. So that's a big part of where I am, who I am, and the journey that I am in. It doesn't end with that. And with every amount of success comes new challenges.
Yeah.
And also you need to have this perspective of like, well, if I don't have this yet, it might be that I'm not prepared for the challenges that this kind of success is going to bring for me. Because every success, like everything, is going to bring more problems, and sometimes bigger problems that I was like, man, I wouldn't know what to do right now in my position like 3 years ago. But now I have the tools to deal with it. You know?
Oh man, so much is now like thoughts that I want to add on to this. But you know what? I'm gonna pause on that because I mean we've already gone past the time that we want to do. But I mean it's up to you. We can keep going. But I mean you've given us so much what we'd like to call here Rockstar Gold. Just the
Rockstar gold.
value, the lessons, the journey, the trials, and yes, actually the show I did last week called I called it well it's part of the first part, detached from failure. In the end I kind of called failure like a true vaccine. you know
Yeah.
it's like you take it, it's like a weaker version of what a vaccine is. It's supposed to go into your body. It's a dead or weakened part of the sickness, and your body sees it, recognizes it, fights it, and figure out and remembers it. So next time it's prepared for what it's coming. Like that's what failure is. Once it enters your body will see it, and once you overcome that, or you're going through it, your body will see it, will recognize it, will develop a way to go beyond that. And next time it sees something, even attempts it, you have learned your lesson, and you're now strong enough to overcome the next obstacle to move to the next thing. And it's that. I mean, man, I mean, we
Yeah.
could do a whole nother talk just on
Yeah.
that aspect. But Monty,
Yeah.
no, this has been wow. Thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah.
And
Thank
actually,
you.
once we get off of air, I want to talk a little bit more with you before you go to
Yeah.
your next engagement, because you encourage me with things that I'm doing in my life today. Apart from
Right.
speaking, my speaking business, which has been just the business part is not the hard part. It's everything else happening, the rest of life
Right.
that's been like really weighing
Yeah.
me down.
Yeah.
But that story, my man, that tenacity, that desire or that iron will to say, I got to at least try. I got to at least go
Mhm.
for it, so I can
Yeah.
say that I went for it and
Yeah.
then just like gave up before I even attempted. That in itself is such a valuable lesson and makes you a hero to me, makes you a hero to others. But more importantly, it's gonna make you a hero to you and your future family because you went for it, my brother. Thank you for being here
Thank you, man.
today.
Thank you, and I appreciate you. I want to honor you for doing this, because it's been also an encouragement to me, in this season of my life, that it's not been easy in the past
Yeah.
couple of months. But it's really encouraging, and it's really reminded me that I do have a story, because like we do forget about this, and with stuff like, our worldview starts getting like shorter and shorter with everything that's going on. But sometimes it's like so good to remember, it's so good to go back and be like, yeah, that happened to me. I did that. I was able to accomplish that, in my life. And I feel like that's so important, also understanding like this is where I come from, and like this is what's happened to me. So I honor you and I appreciate you so much for being a good friend, and I really hope that we can do this again. And yeah, man, I love it.
All right. Well, before I shut it down, well, normally I ask questions at the end of the show. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if you had a chance to look at that, but just a quick question: any disciplines or habits that you make your everyday habits that you believe have helped you continue forward?
Well, I, as a believer, I'm a
Mm.
Christian. I am God fearing, um, and that has made the difference in my life, because I've had seasons in my life that I haven't been close to God. But first of all, putting God first, and not saying just saying that, but doing it in action. Like every day, since I've put God first after this pandemic, this is something that I felt like God spoke to me, like, put me first and I will take care of you. And so the first thing that I do in my day is just I wake up and I spend some time with God.
Mm.
That being, I'm not very, I'm not very like, it's not monotonous or anything. Sometimes I just play some music and I just present myself to God in the day. I'm like, God, here I am. I am your servant. Like, do with me whatever you want to do. Or sometimes I just like read, I read the word, or sometimes I just go on a walk. Prayer walks are a real thing, like,
Yeah.
I go on walks, and I go to this spot here, like near my house in North Nashville, that I love to like hike in. It's like a hike. It goes in the mountain and everything. And I just talk to God. I'm like, God, here I am. And it's like a conversation. And like I also get that download from God, and that has like honestly made the difference in my life, and other things that I do is, which I'm trying to implement more, is like that thing, just being physically active, getting up, of even when you sometimes it feels, especially with me being, knowing depression, knowing
Yeah.
how it affects your body, how it affects you and your perception of yourself. I think like when your body, you feel like it's wearing you down, like just go and do something active, because you're gonna get a little bit of a push to do whatever it is that you need to accomplish, like, so I feel like staying physically active, and it doesn't mean like going crazy and like lifting weights or whatever, but like go on a good hike, for as much time as you can do it. I try I've been going on hikes like that are like really steep and stuff, or like an hour, and it's very therapeutic, and it's really, really good.
I forgot where I heard this, but one of the many people I listened to, he said that the fastest way to build your confidence is to start working out, start getting stronger,
Yeah.
making yourself healthier. And he goes, and when you're physically start changing, your confidence will change along with that, and that
Yes.
opens up ways for other
Yeah.
opportunities that you didn't know.
Also setting yourself little goals.
Okay.
Um, I
Daily, weekly, monthly. How do you go about your goals?
Yeah,
What, oh, that's a whole different talk.
everything. That's a whole different talk, but I think like a way of, sometimes we set ourselves like such crazy goals,
Yeah.
and then we don't achieve those things, and then we're like, man, I'm not good, but if you set yourself, in order for me to like being able to have a deal as a songwriter, for example, like, what do I need to do? Well, I need to write more songs, I need to write with more people, I need to, like, but that comes with every day, with like, okay, so if I want to do that, if I want to get there, then how much work do I need to do in a week, or in a day to do that, and in a week, and then in a month, and in 3 months? So I try to set myself weekly goals of like things that I want to accomplish this week. I try to set myself quarterly goals, which is like, in this season of like 3 months, like, what do I want to accomplish? And then all of those goals are like, thing by thing. If you start accomplishing things, even if they're small, even if you're like, what, I want to drink a gallon of water a day, it's something that daily you're going to see. I'm doing this every day. And once I accomplish it every day, like during that day, I'm gonna feel like accomplished.
It's like
I
a
I
check box.
I completed something,
Yeah.
and that's gonna motivate you to complete another task, and another task, and another task. And by the time you realize you've accomplished all of these things, because you've set yourself little goals.
That is awesome. That is some good advice. And any other resources that you could advise our listeners that if they wanted to attempt whatever you did or anything that you just want? I mean, you mentioned the YouTubes, you mentioned ET, and I'm not sure
EP,
you
the
mentioned a
hip
book
hop
or anything. Yeah,
preacher,
the hip hop
uh,
preacher.
the hip hop preacher. He's awesome. I I read a lot of. I try to I read I'm weird. I like reading certain type of books, but I don't like reading self-help books.
Gotcha.
I like reading novels and stuff like that, but I love listening to them. So I do
Oh,
audiobooks.
same
I
here.
think like audiobooks are awesome because that way I can just be doing something. I feel like sometimes listening to reading self-help books, I think the reason why I don't like it is just I just feel useful, like useless
Ah,
reading this
okay.
book and not practicing something.
Mm,
So I feel like doing an audio, like listening to an audiobook while I'm on a walk, I feel like I'm physically doing something, and it helps me retain more information as I'm going. And I
that's
feel like that's
that's
really
good. I
that's
like
really
that.
good. And also like, yeah, like the media that I'm consuming, I'm trying to be very selective, especially nowadays, guys, because like, social media, it does more harm than good. And I do like follow people that are like really encouraging and really good people, but it's sometimes spending too much time in social media, those more harm than good. So really be very intentional of what you consume, because it's biblical. It's something that a practice that a lot of people preach, that a lot of people talk about, like Tony Robbins and like all people, like, and in whatever. And I'll say another advice is like, if you are looking to be better at something and be good, be in an industry, part of an industry, and you feel like you don't have no direct access, try to connect with a community. You know, a community has been my goal, and not being in a community trying to get opportunities,
Yeah,
because that's not, you're
they'll
not going
smell
to be
that
able
out
to
of
do
you.
that. Yeah, but go into a community and try to make good relationships, because what's gotten here, it's not been my talent, because there's a lot of talented people, but it's been that I've been a good friend, that I've been, like a good hang, good guy to be around, funny, and like, and just trying to, and people can smell when you're trying to get something from them from miles away,
Yep,
like, it's
yep.
like, oh, a lot of people just hit me up and they're like, can I get, like some time with you, and like, and a lot of times I can tell, I'm like, and I, before I used to care what people thought about me
Yeah.
a lot, and it's like, yeah, I always do anything, but now I'm way more selective. I'm like, well, I can sense it when someone wants something from me versus when someone really wants to like really give something to someone else. You know, do not ask for it. Like, I mean, yeah, it's important to ask, but like, give.
Yeah.
What are you giving? Give value. That's something that a lot of people preach too. Give some value, like whatever it is.
Yes, yes. I mean, and I'm going to give some advice to my guests. When it comes to community, bring more to the table than you plan to take. So
Yes.
just give more, give more encouragement, give more love, give more stories. Just if you see someone down, give to them before you try to find out what you go. I mean, and then people will really see that you're authentic, and
Yeah.
and organic relationships are a lot more powerful than forced relationships.
So much more powerful and long lasting.
Yes, yes. Well, Monty Rivera, thank you once again for being here. Last question. If you want to be found, and I noticed that you did that right now, if you want to be found, how can people find you?
Uh, I haven't been too active on social media because of everything that has been going on.
Mm,
I am. I don't know when I'll be. I know I'm preparing myself to release more content. I'm working on music to release soon. And so I'm working on it. I can't promise anything, but you can follow me on Instagram and I think Twitter too. Although I don't use Twitter. Anyway, don't mind that. Instagram, Monty Rivera with 2 A's at the end. It's like right there. Am I?
Yeah,
Right,
I saw it.
right,
Right there.
right there.
I'm like, right there.
Yeah. So follow me on Instagram. And on. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
Or you can. My email is that at gmail.com. You know, so
if you're interested in collabing with him and working with him, well, sure.
Just most likely, I'm not gonna collab with you. That's just the reality.
That's fine.
But
you can
I mean,
they
not
can shoot
with
their
you,
shot.
Josafat, I know. No, you like hit me.
Edit that
Well,
out.
I love. You know what I love? I love when people come with me with like, asking me for stuff in terms of like, hey, like just want to talk, just want to pick your brain. I love like solving problems. That was totally just a joke. Hit me up for whatever you want. Monty Rivera with 2 A's at gmail.com, and I'll reply and whatever it is. And if you need like prayer or whatever, just hit me over there.
And if you are a restaurant owner here in Nashville and just want two guys to come and try your stuff, hit us both up on Instagram.
like that.
We will gladly come and try your product and give you a good review because we're just great guys.
I love that. Yes. We'll come try your food.
Oh my gosh. Monty, once again, thank you. Let me go and close up this show, and we'll chat a little bit more before you have to absolutely leave me for the night. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. This has been episode 46. It is an interview with a rock star featuring Monty Rivera.
Yes, sir.
A gifted songwriter, or just a musician. He's an actor. He's a performer. He's just a good man of God and a great person to get to know better every day. And so, again, I just want to thank you guys. Today we gave you so much value, and we encourage you, take that value, apply it to your life, apply it to your disciplines, and be encouraged and use that to help you detach from your failures, take ownership of your life, and develop that right mindset to become the rock star of your industry. So once again, we want to say thank you. Thank you for letting us into your homes. Thank you for letting us into your cars. But most importantly, thank you for letting us into your hearts. So all the way from Nashville, Tennessee, I am Josafat Emiliano. My guest was Monty Rivera. And Miguel's been here just being quiet the whole time. I'll tell you more about Miguel later on, Monty. But until next time, I'm just know that I'm wishing much love and many blessings.